welcome to episode 2 of our podcast. Today we have with us a 22-year-old Sheza Qureshi who has been an entrepreneur since the age of 18, which is when she started her own online bakery called Pink Beans and hasn't stopped ever since. She also happens to be a full-time accounting and finance student and is the reason why I cannot stick to my diet. So let's get started. Hello Sheza.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm good too.
It's a
thanks.
pleasure to have you. So as I just said, you started Pink Beans when you were 18, which is right after A levels.
Yeah.
So, how did it all start? Walk us through your journey. How did your parents react to you not following the conventional pathway of going to university right after A levels?
So I've been baking since I was a kid. It's something I really enjoy. And when I was a kid and I would bake, I used to make those Betty Crocker cakes and actually put like the batter as the frosting, the raw batter. So it's something I've always enjoyed. And after A levels, I wanted to pursue it as a profession, and it really hit me जब मुझे लम्स की offer आई, and then I was like, I don't know if I want to go to university just now because I want to try how it turns out to be professionally. So I spoke to my parents. I told them I want to go to a culinary school, and surprisingly, they were very supportive of it. They wanted me to pursue it. They said, give it a try, take a gap year, and if it works out, if it works out. If it doesn't, you can always go back.
Okay, that's cool. So, who inspired you to start it? Like, was it a family member? Was it a professional baker that you would look up to? What was that all about?
I think it was just the fact that my family was so supportive. And the first person I told this to was my sister. I was like, I want to go to culinary school. And she was like, you should tell them, like, why are you so scared?
Yeah.
And then I told them, and they were so happy about it. So I really wanted to go forward with it.
All right, cool. So, how did you feel when you got your first order? Was it like, did you have to wait for a very long time to get it? या फिर did you get it instantly? Like, Instagram page बनाया और फौरन order आ गया?
The day I launched my business, उस दिन रात को I got my first order from a friend, and I was so happy.
Amazing.
And back then, I think I used to sell a cookie for 100 rupees. So I got like 10 cookies ka order for 1,000. And when I got the money, I got my mom a bouquet. I have a picture with that
cute.
1,000 rupees, and I'm so happy in that picture because I really couldn't believe it.
Okay, we'll put up that picture. So, what were the two biggest challenges that you faced when you started?
I think the main issue when I started was that I started culinary school after I started my business. So, tab shuru mein I didn't know where to get my supplies from. So, I used to go to like grocery stores. I would go to Springs. It used to be so expensive. I used to put Hershey's chocolate chips in my cookies, and people were like, when I went to culinary school, they were like, "Aap ये actually Hershey's डालती, like that's so expensive. You sell a cookie for 100 rupees, it doesn't cover your cost."
Yeah.
So I think just finding like your vendors and suppliers is really important, and that was my biggest struggle.
Okay, so do you have like a separate vendor for each ingredient, or like how do you go about buying your ingredients now? Like कहाँ से लेती हो? अभी भी supermarket से लेती हो या क्या है?
I would never. I wouldn't even go to Imtiaz to get butter
Oh,
now.
okay.
Now I have my own vendors. They just deliver it to my house, so it's more convenient. I get like monthly stock. तो फिर वो सारा bulk में आता है, so it's much cheaper comparatively now.
Alright, so this is something that I'm personally very interested in. Where do you get your recipes from? Like, do you see them online and then, draw inspiration from them, or do you create them on your own? And if you do that, what is the creative process like?
So when we make any new product, I think the base of my recipes come from my culinary school. They give us like a recipe book, but it's obviously important that, हम थोड़ा change कर लें चीज़ों को, but because otherwise we're all selling the same things.
Yeah.
So we just like try out those recipes a couple of times, try to change things, see whatever suits us better, and then just go from there.
Oh, so do you have like a secret ingredient or something? Like,
Yes, I do, and I cannot tell you that.
alright, guys, the secret ingredient is to go about it. Okay. So, unfortunately, a lot of people do not see baking as a full-time profession. A lot of times they'd be like, "Okay, oh, what do you do?" You'd be like, "Oh, I'm a baker." And then they're like, "What do you actually do?" Because, they see it as a something
Hobby.
As a hobby or something that you do for fun,
Yeah.
So, have you ever gotten a comment like this, and how do you react to comments like
I
this?
think that is an issue with anything you start from home or any online business, especially if you're young. Because when I started it, my immediate family was very supportive, but my cousins, my mom's cousins, like, all of those people, they were like, अच्छा ये क्या कर रही है? And they'd be like, oh, she's baking. And they'd be like, अच्छा पढ़ाई से gap ले लिया है. And it was very demotivating in the beginning, but then you just like, when you make it, then those people are like, oh, इसने इतना अच्छा कर लिया, like, now she's made her name and like she's settled, and then they want their kids to do the same things now.
Oh.
But you just like, I think you just learn to deal with it over time.
That's nice. So, were your friends supportive? Because, you started as a small business, right? So, from marketing to getting the word out there, it's very important. That's a big part of establishing a business, right? So were your friends supportive, like in a way that would they buy stuff from you so that
All
you
the
make
time.
business?
I think I have really supportive friends and I'm so thankful for them. I think even up till now, when especially like Valentine's hota hai, Eid hota hai, they come, they pack my orders,
Oh,
they're
that's so
posting all the boxes. It's
sweet.
actually really nice to have such
That's sweet.
friends.
That's sweet. Okay. Supportive friends, you guys. um, okay. So I was going through your Instagram page and I loved how everything was so, neat and well presented. And I'm someone who's extremely deficient in creativity. So I'm like very intrigued when I see those delicate designs. And do you do them by yourself? All of
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Wow, amazing. So, what is more important in this profession? Is it the looks or the taste?
I think for any online business, how you present it is really important, like finding potential clients, finding your market, because they need to see that what you're showing on social media is it's nice, it's well presented, it's neat. But then taste comes in to make like a regular, like, clientele aap banate ho, to they'll order it for the first time, but if they don't like it, they probably won't come back to you.
Okay.
So I think it's equally important.
So
to
do you
like,
have like a loyal clientele? Like, है कोई ऐसा client जो हर occasion पे they'd be like, oh,
there's
Sheza, I
actually
need
there's
this.
actually a guy who orders from me a lot. Like I think every week he'll deliver a cake to
Wow.
someone, and he's a really really loyal client. And I
That's
have
nice.
some of those. Like
That's nice.
it's nice to have them.
Okay. So, I'm sure at some point or the other you've heard that, oh, your cakes are too expensive, or your brownies are very overpriced, or like this other bakery is selling the same thing at a cheaper rate. So, how do you go about issues like these? Do you give these people discounts, or like, yeah, what's your way to go about these things?
No, I think the issue in this industry is baking ka especially, that anyone who starts like online home based, initially they want to keep really like low prices, and this is an industry that's growing every day. Like someone starting a business every day.
Especially after COVID.
Yeah, especially after COVID. And I think the issue is that जो शुरू करते हैं ना अब, like for the initial time period, they will just keep their prices as low as like 1,000 rupees per pound, and that really ruins the market. I think शुरू में होता है कि सब करते हैं, but then there will be people who will come to you and they'll be like, वो हमें इतना सस्ता sell कर रहा है. But you need to realize that you're also charging your labor, you're charging your experience and
Time.
yeah, time. And over time, your work gets more neat. It gets better over time. So I think it's important to explain to your clients that someone who's doing it for much cheaper will probably not give you the same thing as what you really want. Because customers ka what's like, the most important thing that they want is to send you a reference picture, and they want the closest possible thing.
Yeah.
It's most likely कि जो आपको बहुत कम charge कर रहा है, they will not give you the same thing. So you need to explain that to your clients.
So how do you go about costing? How do you keep a track of your investment, of your profit? Do you have like Excel sheets? Yeah. Do you do the count? Do you handle the accounts yourself?
Excel sheets, everything, like, from personal expenses, business expenses, stock payments, boxes, even like the delivery, uski bhi Excel sheets. Because initially I never did that, and I had no idea कि किस month में profit है, किस month में loss है. But then I realized it's really important to like, have like a book of all these
Especially
things.
with like businesses that you start at home, because you need to keep in mind के gas के.
It's also that initially आप इतने पैसे like you don't make as much, but बहुत खर्चा हो जाता है.
Investment बहुत.
तो like and then आप वही पैसे, because you're making it at home, then you need something for yourself, you'll take the same money out and you'll spend it on something.
Yeah.
So if you have like books maintained for all of that stuff, so it's easier to know how much you've invested into your business and into like your personal expenses as well.
All right, makes sense. So, as you just said, and especially after COVID, there are a lot of people who have started their own bakeries, but you see them closing down in a few days. So, what is the key to stay relevant?
I think the first thing...
And consistent.
Yeah, I think the first thing is that you have to be very, very patient, because with so many competitors out there, it's very difficult to make your name in the market. It's really important to know what your target market is. If it's someone like if it's like 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds, you need to like make a TikTok account. You have to do like stuff that's trending. I'll be like, there were selfie cakes and bento cakes. We were the first ones to launch bento cakes in Karachi, and it blew up. And I launched it at a time when my business was so slow at that time, and I didn't know what to do. So I launched those cakes, and it helped me so much. So I think it's important. And then also that when you initially start, because you have like, for anybody who has supportive friends, or for me as well, it was the same thing ke shuru mein I made a lot of sales because most of my clients were my friends. But like, eventually har koi order karke, they're not going to keep ordering from you like all the time. You can't have the same amount of sales every month.
Okay.
I had no sales for 3 months before Karachi Eid.
Oh my god.
Zero sales. And at that time, my family, like my external family, anybody I'd meet, they'd be like, oh, to like, so basically you're not doing anything. You're just sitting at home.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing was that you got into lumps, but wahan bhi nahi gayi, and yahan pe bhi your business is not doing great.
Yeah.
But I think if you just overcome that time, eventually you get to a point where you find your clients, your target market, and you go from there.
So how often do you like experiment with your menu? Is it every month? Is it every 2 months? So are you always on the lookout for newer things in the market, or do you experiment with your marketing strategies a lot as well?
I think I experiment more when my business is slower, because if you're on a daily basis and you have your regular clients, your regular sales, you don't even have the time to experiment that much. But it's really important that you keep in mind whatever is trending, you have to sell that. That is the only way to stay consistent, because there are so many competitors.
All right. So, what is your selling point? Like, how is Pink Beans different from all the other bakeries out there?
I would say selling point differs from client to client.
Okay.
There are some of my clients who I had from day one who still want to get my cookies.
Oh,
I don't sell them
sweet.
anymore like to new people. I don't market it as much because
Yeah.
my focus is now more on cakes. There are some people who only come to me for brownies. Or like, जब ईद का time होता है, people want more reasonable stuff. So उस time पे brownies and cupcakes are a selling point.
Okay.
So it depends from season to season, from different clients. Some people only come to us for cakes. They don't try our brownies. They don't try our cookies. So I think it depends. But when you're starting a business, it's really important that you start from one item.
Okay.
And that should be something it's ready to like be out there in the market. Because when it's a new business and aap dekhte ho ki you open any page, it's a new brand and they have so many things. You
Yeah.
don't know what to buy.
Okay.
And maybe what you buy is not their selling point, and that's what puts them down.
Say, makes sense. Have you ever gotten a bad review? And does a bad review take a toll on you? Does it take a toll on your motivation? Do you feel like, oh, okay, what am I doing? And how do you deal with bad reviews?
I have gotten a few bad reviews, but it's never been about my taste.
Okay.
It's always like, maybe there's an issue with delivery. And we always tell our clients it's better to pick up your order. We cannot like 100% guarantee that your order will be delivered safely because it goes on a bike. And most people are not willing to pay the car delivery charges.
Okay.
Because most of our clients are on the Gulshan side and we're based in defense.
Okay.
So obviously with petrol and everything, your delivery is so expensive. But they don't want to pay that price. They're like, आप bike पे भेज दें सही चला जाएगा. And it has happened कि cake खराब हो जाता है. But if it is a delivery that we haven't warned a customer पहले से कि like खराब हो सकता है, we will take full responsibility and we will replace the cake. We'll make sure the customer is satisfied. But there have been instances when customers like really insist कि आप bike ही use करें and नहीं बस सही आ जाएगा. In that case, if it does get ruined, we tell them beforehand that we will not take responsibility for it.
So how do the customers react? Do they take responsibility of it because you've already told them that it's not your responsibility?
Most likely they will not.
Okay.
And that's when they get upset.
Yeah.
Because
So do they ask for a refund?
They do. They really insist on it, and sometimes it is so stressful in those situations because we tell them कि ये चीज़ खराब हो जाएगी. Like if it's a 2-pound cake, like lunchbox cakes, they're so tiny you can deliver them on a bike.
Yeah.
And in case वो खराब होते हैं, we will replace them because we know कि वो most likely safely deliver हो जाता है. So in case there's an issue, we'll do it. But if it's a 2-3 pound cake, we tell them beforehand कि ये चीज़ नहीं जा सकती, and they're like कि नहीं आप कर दें.
Okay.
And then we're like, you need to write a message to us saying that in case it like gets ruined, delivery में खराब हो गया, तो it's not our responsibility.
I hereby
But
give
वो
you the
फिर
permission.
भी यही करते हैं. वो फिर भी बोलते हैं कि नहीं, but आपका rider था.
Okay.
A rider cannot hold the cake the entire time, like when he's on a bike.
Of course, makes sense. So, delivery तुम खुद कराती हो या like what do you use? Do you have like a particular rider for each area or?
पहले I used to use Bikeia.
Okay.
That went horrible. It was a
Oh,
bad experience.
God,
I think
yeah.
so many of my cakes got ruined that after that I've hired a rider.
Okay.
But still for car deliveries, we will just use InDriver or Kareem, any of these apps. We just check the delivery, we let the customer know, and they just pay the riders.
Okay, perfect. So you mentioned that you put up a stall at Karachi and you were the youngest one there, right? So what was that like? Walk us through the process of it. How did you get in? And like was the effort proportional to like was it a fruitful experience?
I think it definitely was because I think my business like fully started after Karachi Eid, and I would not go back and like not do it. Like I said, the 3 months I didn't make any sales. Right after that was Karachi.
Okay.
So they have a tasting.
Okay.
You go through that. You give them an item that you want to sell. I did Nutella cookies back then. That was
Okay.
my selling item. And at Karachi, what I wanted to be my selling point was fresh out of the oven. So we put an oven over there.
Oh,
I got a
you were
commercial
baking.
oven. That was the first time I got a commercial oven. I went to
Wow.
this market, वहाँ से लिया बराब, and I was so excited. And again, because my family is so supportive, I didn't have a staff back then or anything. अभी तो like, you know, we've trained people, they
Okay.
help me, whatever.
Help us.
But अब पहले तो like I didn't have anybody. So my cousins were here. They were literally like up all night making cookie dough with me. I had no idea कि
so
कितना turnout भी
sweet.
कितना होगा. पहले दिन I was like, my stall was all over the place, but it was a great experience. I think when I started, I had 200-300 followers. By end of Karachi, I hit 1,000.
Wow. That's
and
a lot
right
of growth.
after Karachi, COVID also happened.
Yeah.
Which helped home businesses so much.
Yeah.
So like, you know, my sales rocketed, I think, after Karachi. So I think it's something any new business should really go for.
So yeah, you started with Nutella cookies and cookies in general. That was your selling point, right? So now you've expanded your menu, and you know you sell various kinds of cakes and cake sickles and whatnot. The list goes on and on. So all of that requires a lot of creativity, you know, like. So do you ever experience a creative block where you're sitting for like weeks and you're like, अच्छा अब मैं क्या add करूँ या इसको मैं कैसे you know like बेहतर बनाऊँ, like.
All the time. My Valentine's boxes are still not out. Facing a creative block and stress, सबने launch कर दिए.
Okay.
It happens, and then I think you just like try to push yourself out of it, but it happens to everybody.
Okay. Has the increasing dollar price and the high inflation rate impacted your business? क्या sales कम हुई हैं? Are people more reluctant to order now?
It has really affected it because एक तो raw material prices have gone up.
ठीक है.
Most of our ingredients are imported. They've gotten so expensive, and I think the issue is in Pakistan, people don't realize if you're doing something from home, it still costs you to make it.
Yeah, for
Like,
sure.
you know, when you go to a restaurant, prices have gone up. You
Yeah.
don't see people arguing at the restaurant. They'll still pay it and they'll say, oh, itni mehengai ho gayi hai. But they're still going to restaurants. It's not like restaurants have shut down. But with home businesses, people really react. Like, you know, you can increase the price by 50 rupees and they'll be like, oh, last month to ye 1800 ka tha, now it's for 1850 kyun?
Or do people ask you to justify your prices?
They do. It's surprising, but they do.
Okay.
Okay, last time we got this cake, it was for 2,000, now it's for 2,200. Why?
Okay.
And you can't explain it to every single person. You need to realize that, like, you know, everything has gone up.
For
How do you
sure.
expect us to sell at the same rate?
For sure. So you just mentioned that a few of your ingredients are imported. So abhi jab import ban laga hua tha, what did you do then?
I was so scared. I bought everything in bulk.
Okay.
Everything my supplier had,
Okay.
I bought it. He was like, कि खत्म हो गया. I was like, जितना भी है आप सारा मुझे दे दें.
सही है. तो फिर was it ever a point? Did you ever reach a point where you were out of ingredients and you had to like switch to local ingredients?
No, I really bulk buy.
Really bulk buyed. Okay. What's the biggest mistake that you've made while preparing an order?
Forgotten about it. Completely forgotten about
Completely.
it. Sometimes it's like...
What happened? The customer called you screaming?
I think that's why I started maintaining the Excel sheets. By the end of
Okay.
it, my mom was like, can you just be more responsible about your
Okay.
orders? Because I would like be out somewhere and someone would message saying कि cake कब पहुँचेगा और rider पहुँचने वाला है, and I'm just
Oh
like,
my god.
cake?
Oh.
And then I would like scroll up and I would go into my phone screenshots और उसमें order होता था.
That would have been a
And
nightmare.
most likely it's someone who's ordered like 2 weeks in advance.
Oh.
And I would feel so bad. So it's like, it's a bad thing saying it now. Now
Yeah.
I don't do that, but that's the worst thing I've possibly done to a customer.
Wow. All right. So, at what point in your career, like at what point in these 4 years, did you realize that, okay, I made the right choice by not going to university, or, ठीक है, अब I'm doing something good with my life?
I think it was after Karachi.
Okay.
Because that was like the first time I actually made like a good, like मेरी sales हुई, people were coming. Because before that, with an online business, you don't directly like, you know, आप client से directly बात नहीं करते हो. There's no one to like directly come up to you and tell you how good of a job you're doing. Karachi पे I was 18 only when I was doing Karachi. It was the first year of my business.
Yeah.
So many people came up to me and they were like, oh, आप इतनी छोटी हैं, आप business कर रही हैं. Jio वाले आए थे, they took our reviews, Fuchsia magazine and all these people.
Yeah.
So I think at that point I realized that what I did was the right thing to do.
That's nice. That's nice. So as I mentioned, you're also a full-time accounting and finance student, and running a business is a full-time job as well. And I'm sure it would get super difficult to juggle between work and university. So what keeps you so driven?
I think it's because I don't see this like, yes, it is my full time job, but I don't see it as work.
Yeah.
I enjoy doing it. I don't mind coming home from school and working.
Okay.
Last year, tak, when my campus was mere ghar ke piche, I would come home in my breaks, make cakes, go back to class, and
Okay.
it never felt like work.
Okay.
It's just something I'm used to. It's a very big part of my life.
All right. So, now you've established so much. You recently won an award for the best online emerging bakery, and you're about to hit 15,000 followers, which is huge, mashallah. So, what's one thing that you'd like to tell your 19-year-old self who was contemplating starting a business?
Thank God I did it. I would have just been studying. That's it.
Yeah.
I would have never experienced this because when I was deciding to go to culinary school, so my dad said, he said, if you go to LUMS right now, you are not graduating and going to a culinary school.
Yeah.
Like that's not happening. You will be too invested in your studies. You will realize कि 4 साल पढ़ाई में लगा दिए हैं. You will be 24 by then. There's no point. अभी करना है. You try it. It works out. It works out. It doesn't. At least you will know you tried it.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't go back in time and change anything.
But that period, it would have just been a passion.
Yeah, it would have been something I would
that
do
you
for
didn't
fun.
pursue. Yeah. Okay. Since you're so happy with the decision you made, there are a lot of kids out there who want to start their own bakery or any other business for that matter. What's one advice that you'd like to give them?
I think it's really important to just be consistent and do it.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people, they want to do a lot of things, but they're just like too scared to actually start it because they're scared it might not work out. But it's really important to realize that if it doesn't work out, it just doesn't.
Yeah.
Your life doesn't end there.
Yeah.
So it's really important to
So
just
it's better
take that
than
risk.
regretting.
Yeah, it's just you need to take that risk.
Yeah.
Either
Okay.
it will work out or it won't.
All right. I was going through your Instagram page and I saw this picture and I felt like it has a story to tell. So we'll show you the picture. We pulled out the picture. We'll show you the picture and you tell us the event or like the story associated with it. Okay. For you guys.
This was actually the first cake I made by myself.
And how is it like holding up? Like what is happening here? Please explain.
I don't want to tell you the secret behind it.
Okay.
But this is the first anti-gravity cake or the first cake I even baked. Although I went to a culinary school, I don't want to say it, sharam aati hai, but मुझे घर पे cake नहीं बनते थे. So for the first year of my business, every time I tried to bake a cake at home, I just couldn't.
Why not like?
I don't know. There's something wrong with the recipe. I'd always ask my teacher and he would be like, you do something wrong. But we just couldn't figure it out.
Okay.
After my culinary school ended, I went to another culinary school for just the anti-gravity cake class. And then I came home and I made this cake and this was the first cake I made. After this, we started selling cakes and we moved to this part of the...
I think it's so creative. Okay, moving on to the fun segments. We came up with our very own original rapid fire, and you know the drill. We'll ask you a few questions, and you just have to like answer them as quickly as possible.
Okay.
All right, let's get started. If I woke up as a Prime Minister of Pakistan, the first thing I would do is
help the poor.
What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear the following names? Bilawal Bhutto.
I don't want to say.
Okay. Mahira Khan.
Stunning.
Khalil Rahman Qamar.
Such.
Malala Khan Yousafzai.
Inspiring.
Atif Aslam.
He's a great singer.
Choose from the following. Get a bad review or not get a single order for a week.
A bad review because I can fix that.
Be the most creative baker or be the richest baker.
Creative.
Biryani
if you stand out, you make the money.
Okay. Biryani with aloo, biryani without aloo.
With aloo, always.
Thank God. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Okay. If the following were not in their current profession, what would they be? Imran Khan.
Some finance guy.
I think a law teacher. I don't know why.
Yeah, either law or finance.
Finance, okay. Ali Sethi.
A model.
I see it.
You get the vibe.
Yeah. Irfan Janejo.
Photographer.
Okay. Gordon Ramsay.
A really strict teacher.
For sure, for sure.
He'd be really
I
strict.
see it. Guess the song from the lyrics. I am now used to of living like this. It's very easy. I'm now used to.
Up to Adat's.
I gave it away. I found the one who stole the sleep from my eyes. I found the one who stole the sleep from my eyes.
I don't know.
Mil gaya wo
Strange.
jo chura ke. If you got the chance of sharing the kitchen with a chef, who would it be?
Chef Amari.
The last show you binge watched.
Emily in Paris.
Your guilty pleasure.
Binge watching trashy shows like Emily in Paris.
Thank God you said it. Name a blogger or influencer who you really or whose work you really admire.
Lara Ibrahim.
All right. Favorite city in Pakistan.
Lahore.
If you could go back in time and rectify one mistake, what would it be?
Not forget the order.
Our last segment is where we're going to ask you a few general knowledge questions and you have to answer them within 45 seconds. All right. What was the old name of KPK?
NWFP.
What is the name of our cricket team's captain?
I don't watch cricket.
What's the name of the captain? It's very easy.
I don't know. I don't watch cricket at all.
Should I tell her the answer? Babar Azam.
I really did.
You don't know who Babar Azam is? Oh my God.
I'm sorry.
What's the name of Hamza Ali Basi's character in Maula Jat? Full name.
Noorinat.
What do you call a rabbit in Urdu?
A Khargosh. Khargosh.
How many months have 28 days?
1 February.
All months have 28 days. 28th. Name 2 movies by Shoaib Mansoor.
Bowl.
2 movies.
I don't know the second one.
Khuda ke liye.
I don't watch movies.
And what's that Mahira Khan movie? Barna as well.
मैंने वो भी नहीं देखी.
Where is Wazir Khan Mosque located?
Lahore.
How many colors are there in a rainbow?
7.
What's the capital of Australia?
Canberra.
How many characters are there in Friends?
Monica, Rachel, Phoebe, Joey, Chandler, Ross.
Time's up. Time's up. That's the end of it, Sheza. Thank you so much for doing this. I had a great time. Do you have anything to say to our students who'd be watching this podcast?
Yes, you should just do what you're too afraid of doing. You should just take that step. You should start a business. You should do what you're too afraid of doing and it will work out.
All right. Thank you so much
for having me.